Okay, we're live.
In theory, everybody can hear me now?
Yep.
Not just you and Dave? In theory, we're live, despite countless obstacles that you would never believe possible. We're here, and glad to be here. Hi, I'm Dr. Doug Graham. I'm here with you tonight to talk about the science of health and fitness. A retreat I run every year in Cedar-Woolley, Washington. It's designed for trainers, coaches, and fitness enthusiasts, and I'm excited for you to be able to be here with me. I want to customize tonight's talk to make it as close to exactly what you want as I can possibly create. And so what I'm going to ask is that you take a very short poll, maybe 5 or 10 seconds is all it'll take you, while you answer a few simple questions to tell me why you're here and what it's about for you to want to know more about the science and health and fitness retreat. So if you just answer that questions that you see on your poll right now, not only will I customize my presentation, but at the end we'll tell you how the poll went so that you know if you had the same interests as other people, if why you're here and why other people are on this webinar with us tonight. Before I tell you anything about the retreat, the science of health and fitness, I'd like to tell you just a little bit more about a topic that is so dear to me that I think you'll really appreciate when I talk to you about sports injuries, because sports injuries are just so bad. I mean, every time we get the littlest thing happen, it's a problem. I mean, a big injury can be bad. A little injury can still be a problem. Sometimes injuries last and last. We learn to we gain a history of dings and bruises and parts that don't work as well as they could work, and none of this typically needs to happen. So I'd like to talk to you about when sports injuries are most likely to happen and what can we do to avoid them, prevent them from happening, or absolutely just stay away from the whole thing. And as you know, I did write the book, Prevention and Care of Athletic Injuries, so obviously this is a topic really dear to me. You know, you get hurt, you got to stop playing. That's never fun. I don't enjoy even the littlest injury. I used to have a ton of injuries. I didn't understand why. And of course, eating 80-10-10 has helped a lot for a variety of reasons, but still the injuries happened. And you think about how many talented athletes have had careers end just because they got an injury. I mean, the number of people in high school and college thinking they were going to get scholarships to college or go pro, and then it all just came to a halt. And instead, all of this could be avoided. It just drives me nutty to see people get hurt when they don't have to. I ran a gym for 5 years. We had more than 900 child hours per week in classes of just 6 children at a time. We saw more than 45,000 hours of children doing gymnastics, relatively high-risk activity. And almost all the injuries happened during the first few minutes and the last few minutes of class. I mean, this was just unheard of, to be able to come up with something that's that profound, that tight of a parameter that you can say, oh, well, what do we do? Why does it happen? What's going on in those first couple of minutes? Well, you get to what you're going to do and you want to get started. You're excited about it. Meanwhile, you're still thinking about where you were. You're still thinking about the fight you had with somebody else, the upset at home or at work, the guy that drove in the little crazy on the road on the way there, some project or another. You haven't fully focused on the fact that you're actually now on a tennis court or on a basketball court or somewhere where there's other people or possibilities to get hurt. You're not paying attention typically during the first few minutes of your workout, just because you haven't got into it yet. It takes some time. And during the last few minutes, although you're way into it, you know it's coming to a close. And you're starting to think, oh, where do I have to go next? Oh, do I have enough time? Oh, am I going to be able to finish this and still make it to where I'm going? And you're tired. You're distracted and you're tired. And injuries happen. And for this very reason, as simple as that, I recommend that we take the first few minutes of every training session and the last few minutes of every training session and use them wisely in an activity that I call warm up and warm down. Now, okay, before we even think about it, we've got to use the correct gear. When you consider that motorcycle accidents are primarily, or the injuries from motorcycle accidents are primarily minimized by the use of a helmet, so you don't end up with a head injury. And in the United States alone, there's more than 1 million people get head injuries just from car accidents. Out of that million, more than 999,000 of those head injuries could have been avoided if the drivers and the passengers were all wearing helmets. Now, it might sound funny to us today, but it would have sounded funny to a motorcycle driver be required to wear a helmet a certain number of years ago, or a bicyclist being required to wear a helmet a certain number of years ago. When I was a child, I watched professional ice hockey and nobody wore helmets. And they played just as rough and rugged back then as they do today. So the idea of a helmet in a car might seem alien, but think about 1 million head injuries. Okay, it's inconvenient to wear a helmet, but we want to always use the proper protective gear when we do sports activities, whatever that proper protective gear is. And every sport has its gears. You ride a bicycle, you wear a helmet. But when you fall off a bicycle, the chances are the first thing that's going to hit the ground is either going to be your feet or your hands. You're probably not riding your bicycle barefoot, but you're probably not wearing gloves. Put on a pair of cycling gloves. They've saved my hands more times than I care to count. I'm more likely to wear gloves than I am to wear a helmet. Preventive gear, the proper protection is huge. Sometimes you just have to. Guys, sometimes you gotta wear a cup. You don't want to get hit. And for all of us, wearing proper protection is big. But not getting hurt because of something you did is almost all about warm up and warm down. And so we want to go through a proper warm-up. Now, a proper warm-up doesn't mean you do what the girl in this picture does and then say, okay, I'm ready to go. That's not warm-up. Warm-up is one of the best named fitness activities that I've ever run across. You're actually supposed to warm up. Now to warm up, you have to move, not stretch. Stretching is not a warm-up, and I do either none or almost no stretching in a warm-up. For a warm-up, I want to move. I want to jog. I want to walk. I might climb. I might do a few cartwheels. I might do a few push-ups. I'm going to move. I want to break a sweat. But breaking a sweat isn't warm-up. You actually break a sweat in order to prevent your body from getting hot. It's a bodily controlled mechanism of preventing warm-up. Warm-up is actually a rise in core temperature. You have to bring your internal temperature up. When you start sweating, that's a way of keeping your internal temperature down. You have to overcome your body's preference to maintain a stable core temperature. So you're going to break a sweat, you're going to take off whatever clothing had to come off in the first place, the warm-ups as they call them, and we're going to continue to train through movement. Whatever movement, it doesn't matter. You may have your own particular thing. There can be a very general warm-up where you're just moving around with relatively random movements, or there can be a specific warm-up that's specific to the activity you're going to do. So if it's going out to play soccer, your warm-up might be passing the ball back and forth very gently while two people jog up and down the field. Or there might be some heading or some other activities that are specific, certain drills as they call them, and you develop the drills in order to enhance your skills. And this is a very specific warm-up, as opposed to before you do that, you might just go out and jog a mile. Oddly, most people spend between 0 to 5 minutes doing a warm-up, when sports scientists tell us that it is physiologically impossible to warm up in under 20 minutes. Can't be done. And they recommend 30 minutes or more as warm-up. Well, if you only have an hour and you spend 30 minutes of it on warm-up, the warm-up better be really right. And so what a warm-up is supposed to do is start out gently and increase in its intensity until it reaches the point of as intense as the activities you intend to be doing. At this point, you've created a segue, but a seamless segue into fitness activities, whatever your activity is going to be. For most people that I train, they cannot tell when the warm-up is over and the actual fitness activity has begun. We just keep making the warm-up increasingly intense until it gets to a point where you go, oh, we're really working out now. Are we still warming up? Well, it doesn't matter. You just want to make sure that you've taken care of that warm-up so that mentally you're paying attention, physically you're paying attention, the body and all of its parts have been mobilized and temperature's gone up and you've gone through the ranges of motion and you know that everything is ready on all counts to be able to get into your full speed activities. But extend your warm-ups. If that means you have to show up a little earlier than all of your friends, fine. Show up a little earlier and do some warm-up beforehand. If it means when they say, hey, are you ready to go? You say, no, I need another 5 minutes to keep moving before I'm really ready to start to play. Fine. They'll give you another couple of minutes. They'll get used to it, and eventually they'll say, hey, show up a little early and do your warm-up before. Don't make us wait. Well, if they want to get hurt, fine. You don't want to get hurt. At the other end of your training session, we also have to do the warm down, or cool down, if we want to name it a little more accurately. The cool down is essentially the same as the warm-up in reverse, except that there's going to be some stretching. Here's the time to be doing that stretching at the end of a fitness activity. That's your best bet for stretching. There are some types of stretching called active stretching, short-term dynamic stretches that only happen for a second or two, but they're not really stretches in the sense of the way we see in the photo, a man just sitting and leaning forward and being there for a while. Very, very short-term tightening of one set of muscles while the opposite is put into a stretch. You may do that when you're relatively cool, but you wouldn't want to do it full on cold. In the cool down, you want to alternate between slow down your activities gradually and completely halt activities for stretching in a way that will optimize slow cooling down. And that's going to be controlled to some degree by the temperature. So if it's a super, super hot weather, you may do more stretches and less fitness activity in the cool down. And if it's really cold weather, you may extend the activity as part of the cool down. You may be putting on clothing sooner. Put those warm-ups back on. I know when I've trained in certain cold climates, I'll go out for a run, and while I'm out, I'll shed a layer, and then run some more, usually in a straight line, and then I'll shed another layer, and a few miles later, shed another layer. When I turn around and start coming back, by the time I get to that first layer, I put it on, and I'm into my cool down, and then I do a little bit of stretching, but a fair amount of activity till I get to the next piece of clothing, and I put it on, and then the next piece of clothing, and I put it on, while I do more and more stretching, less and less fitness activity in terms of dynamically active stuff. So the warm-up and cool-down need to be choreographed in a way that will allow you not to get hurt. That's our first thing. We don't want to get hurt. And I recommend that people warm up much, much, much longer than they usually do. For most people, it's usually like 8 or 10 times longer than they usually do. What happens is they're shocked by how much better they play. They say, oh, if I do all that warm-up, I'll be too tired to play. No, you won't. You actually won't, because the activity level and the intensity of it is relative to you. And so you're still just doing a gradual rise in fitness level relative to your own abilities, and it won't wear you out, and you will find that you'll do far better when you're properly warmed up than if you shorten down your warm-up so that you can get right into the activities. Same with cool down. Let that cool down happen. Intermingle little bits of activity that is gradually becoming less and less dynamic, less active, less strenuous, with appropriate stretches that are specific to your activities, and the possibility for injury is almost completely gone. It's a brilliant thing. It's a brilliant thing. Let's find out what the results of the poll were. I have Kevin with me on the line, and Kevin's going to tell us how the poll actually went.
Hi, Dr. Graham. The poll went pretty unanimously. Everyone here is a fitness enthusiast.
Everyone's a fitness enthusiast, so we're not going to really teach. We're not going to teach the trainers tonight how they can become more valuable. They can get more money out of their clients. We're not going to tell the coaches how to win. Win, win, win. What we want to do is teach fitness enthusiasts how they can, A, have more fun while they do their fitness activities, B, make it more beneficial to them. We want to be efficient, we want to be effective, we want to make it really useful. And so I'll talk about a couple key aspects of the science of health and fitness for you, and we'll look at it right from that. You know that the Science of Health and Fitness Week is for you. Okay, we can go right past clients. But with everybody that you talk to, if you can tell them the actual reason behind what you tell them, the other people you play with, people that you happen to just be teaching for any reason, we've covered injury in the smallest sense. But I'll spend hours on things that will make avoiding injury more valuable for you. And you'll see the pitfalls once you know about them, and you never notice them until you've been told. It's like buying a new car, and then you notice that car all over the road, and before that you didn't see it. Once you're aware, you go, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'll end up hurt. Now I know. If you want to really fine-tune your nutrition so that you can get the absolute most out of what you eat in terms of your fitness performance, Health and Fitness Week, the science of health and fitness, is going to take you there. If you want to increase the efficiency that you put into your own training, all right, efficient means that you can get more done in less time. We also want to make it as effective as possible, and that means that you actually do get done what you're trying to get done. I remember the girl who was trying to get better at pulling herself up a rope, and she asked several people how to do it, and they all told her, do more push-ups. Hopefully here everybody's laughing. This is a true story. She did 6 months worth of push-ups. She became really good at push-ups. No better at pulling herself up a rope. We want our fitness to be efficient, meaning we get more done in less time, and we'll show you how to do that. But we also want to make it as effective as possible, meaning that you actually do reach the goals that you're trying to work towards. You want to effectively key in on your training to make it get you as far as you can, as fast as you can. We want to save time and save injuries while we have a lot more fun, because oddly, I mean, I remember when I first started doing strength training, a friend of mine said to me, well, you know, there's no end to strength training. No matter what you can do, there's always more. I said, yeah, I've noticed that a bit. It's not like shooting a swish where it just doesn't get any better than that. You know, this is, hey, so you've picked up 100, when are you going to pick up 110? When are you going to pick up 200? Whatever it is, it just goes on and on and on. And he said, you've basically committed yourself to a life of never being satisfied. Well, I don't see it that way. I see that I'm always satisfied. I'm giving my best, but I'm also always striving. And I want to make my fitness training as effective as I can, because that's the most fun. To lift more if you're strength training, to run faster or further, or whatever it is that you want to do, the better you play, the more fun it is. We're going to look at how nutrition affects your performance before, during, and after training. Not only the food, but the parts of the food, and not only the fitness training, but the parts of it. So we want to know about, how does oxygen get affected by your food? How does different muscle fibers work in order to get the most out of a particular type of training? We want to look at how nutrition affects all of this. And of course, how to make recovery as fast as it can possibly be. That's always good. There's more benefits. We're going to teach you new training methods, because a lot of what's tried and true, has been taught for a long time, made it into the books, or the coaches are teaching their students, and then they become coaches and teach their students. There are new tricks out there, and understanding them will make a big difference for you. At the same time, a lot of the old stuff got considered old, and now there's new. And the new isn't always better, it's just new. A lot of times, back to basics might be new to you, but these are the facts. We're going to get into very objective-based fitness training so that you can not only evaluate your fitness, but see how to make it as powerful as possible. And sometimes these new training methods will just show you, wow, what a streamlining that can be. A lot of people do a lot of excessive or extraneous training that doesn't help them reach their goals. And so we're going to not only avoid the extraneous, but avoid the injuries that come with that extraneous stuff, while we help you create custom plans in order to reach your particular health goals. I mean, we want to see, while you're at Health and Fitness Week, we want to see you reach, or form a plan to reach, every one of your goals. And so the benefits go on and on. We're going to run our program at a retreat center in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, the Cedar Springs Retreat Center. And the setting is idyllic. It's a beautiful spot. It's surrounded by mountains. We'd go on various trips out to the mountains. It's an easy ride over there. You can jog there in a mile. We have rivers and woods to run through, big open fields. We're building a new building this year just for fitness training. The sanctuary itself is a huge indoor area that we use as our gym for our morning classes and sometimes for evening classes or inclement classes. We have large outdoor areas as well, and every type of equipment. I mean, if there's stuff you want to know about certain types of equipment, we have a huge range of equipment there. But the grounds, my goodness, it's comfortable, it's beautiful, there's a lot of recreation possibilities. A lot of photos get taken at this event, and they're not of us. They're just nature, with the coyotes at night, and the elk that are out, and the salmon in the streams. To me, looking up and seeing eagles who are scouting for salmon is just a really special time. But the sky is so dark at night. There's more stars than you've ever imagined. And I never miss jumping in and having a swim. That's just a special part of the day, is to just dive off whatever log is there this year and have a really nice time. It's refreshing. It's definitely refreshing. But, you know, they say that your brain can only absorb as much as your body can endure. You gotta be comfortable. We have super comfortable surroundings, very homey atmosphere, from the fireplace in the living room to relatively informal but super comfortable bedding, all new mattresses, all new linens of every kind, and we want you to feel pampered. Yeah, you're going to go to school, but we want you to feel pampered, and we want you to know that the center itself, we've been running this program at Cedar Springs for 10 years. It's I used to go to all different places. I've run these programs in Hawaii, in Virginia, in Florida, in England, in Costa Rica, uh, Colorado. We were in Colorado for 4 or 5 years. But when I saw Cedar Springs Retreat Center, I moved in. And I've been there now for 10 years in a row. We're not looking to go anywhere else. This is my facility. I love it. At the same time, we're going to eat really, really well. I mean, it might not be why you come, but the food is good, and we're going to let the food itself be part of the lessons, sort of the show and tell of what athletes are supposed to eat like, how they can eat to optimize performance. So we start out with 100% whole, fresh, ripe, raw, organic plants. We bring you the best low-fat, raw, vegan, simply delicious cuisine that we can possibly create. We're going to show you meals that just, I think more photos are taken of the food than anything else. For me, I want to just eat it, but it is delicious and beautiful. We have chefs of the highest caliber creating every dish for you, and we want you to know that if you have special requests for food, they will be met. If you have special needs, you don't like certain foods, or you do, you're allergic to certain foods, or you can't eat them, or you're on a special program right now where you're just experimenting and you don't want to have something. You don't like cilantro? Well, you're not alone. Maybe you prefer peppers over tomatoes? Fine. All we have to do is let the chefs know. They will customize the meal for you every single time. We're happy to honor that. But we also want you to know that the food tastes great. It's presented beautifully, and we create an ambiance to go with the food that will make it feel special every time you come into our dining area. We want you to know that we're going to take great care of you, food-wise, fitness-wise, education, and of course for me, the big one, fun. We're going to have a good time. We're going to learn a ton, but we're going to enjoy every bit of it. And there's no reason not to. There's no reason that we can't shred a salad one night and go to the Middle East the next night and find ourselves in Spain the next night and find ourselves somewhere else the next night, and it just keeps coming. Every night's meal will have a bit of a theme, and the chefs will explain to you what that is so that you can fully appreciate what we call 5 cents every meal and really, really feel that your needs are being taken care of. You might wonder, well, how does it all come together? What's it like? What's a day at the retreat really all about? Well, a day at the retreat is pretty straightforward. The Science of Health and Fitness Week runs approximately like this. The first thing I like to do is respect everyone's time. So if we say breakfast is at 8, breakfast is at 8. It starts right away because at 9 there will be a lecture. We'll do an educational presentation. If you want to do some fitness training before your breakfast, you are more than welcome. If you want to meditate, you want to get your email done, it's all fine. You have up until 8. But we're there to immerse into the science of health and fitness. It's not truly a vacation unless you find the science of health and fitness to be your vacation. But we're going to expect you to be awake, alert, aware, ready, immersed into the program all day, every day, in order to get the most out of it. Anything you don't want to come to, you don't have to, but we're going to keep the day full. I'll do a lecture presentation from 9 until just a little before 11. We'll have a fitness workshop every morning, usually about 90 minutes. Short enough break so that you can get cleaned up, have lunch, and after lunch, back into another educational presentation. Essentially what we're doing is creating what's called theory and practical. Theory and practical. And each time, each lecture will cover a specific area, and then the fitness workshop will drive that concept home. The next one in the afternoon, lectures on a specific part of the day, specific part of why we're here, and then the fitness session will drive that point home. We'll have our dinner, we'll have a nice time, we'll allow you to get to bed early enough so that the day can start and you can go right after it again. We're going to cover topics in pretty great depth. When we look at nutrition and athletic performance, just that one section, we will cover the importance of hydration, how it affects performance and how to maintain it, the truth behind salt, and all your best sources for it, what to eat before, during, and after activity, why optimal digestion is important for training, which food combinations are best for training, and which are not, the facts about sugar, protein, and fat, and for me, overwork, overload, overtraining, and the training effect. Most people use those words and don't really know what they mean. I want you to become fluent in the vocabulary necessary to really understand the science of health and fitness, and so we will start with a lot of definitions. We'll teach you how to sculpt your body and which activities create which types of development, how to organize your training by defining your short and long-term goals, and then creating a fitness program that will bring you there to those goals, exploring the myths of fitness training, and even how to get ready for competition days. We're also going to look at maximum performance in terms of every part of your athletic abilities, from biomechanics, injury avoidance, kinetics, recovery, psychology, the neurological training, the physical training, a little more on nutrition just to close it out and make sure you know where you're going. What I call unpatterned training, expecting the unexpected, and then all of the things that go into making competition day a good day for you. I train with two guys. On competition day, one of those guys invariably does pretty much what he does in the gym. If he could show it to me in the gym, he can usually show it to me on competition day. Sometimes not quite. The other guy never shows me in the gym what I see at the competition. At competition, he invariably performs better. Always better. In fact, I believe he's told me that at every competition he's ever been in, he's done better than he did while he was in training. There's something going on in the mentalities, and I want you to understand what that is and how to use each of those different mentalities to your advantage, depending on which kind of person you are. You want to be able to go home with the drills and the skills that will allow you to reach your fitness goals, with a newfound love and appreciation of 80-10-10 cuisine, with lots of new recipes just from having eaten the meals. We want you to take home an understanding of the importance of nutrition in sports performance and how much nutrition plays a role in recovery. Obviously, for yourself and for anyone else that you ever talk about performance with, we want you to be so fluent that you can customize your training, create a custom package, and be able to be flexible, that you can say, oh, well, that doesn't work for you. Okay, well, then you could do this. Oh, you've hurt your knee. Well, here, then let's work on this instead. I had a client come to me with a groin pull. He says, I can't run anymore. I can't do cardio. I go, groin pull. You can ride a bicycle. It won't hurt at all. He goes, really? Get on a bicycle? Doesn't hurt at all. Groin pull. You can swim. Doesn't hurt at all. Groin pull. You can rollerblade. Doesn't hurt at all. There's lots of ways to still do cardio. So we want to be able to customize your training and customize your nutrition. I've had plenty of athletes come to me and say, I can't eat bananas. How am I going to do 80-10-10? I can't eat bananas. As if not being able to eat bananas was going to make it so that they couldn't do 80-10-10. I even have several athletes who are ultra marathon runners that came to me first because they wanted to do 80-10-10, but they couldn't eat bananas. And we showed them how to do fine without bananas. And then within 9 months' time, every single one of those people had built up their health, built up their vitality, built up their fitness levels to a point where when they did once again try bananas, they had no problems with it at all. But we still want to be able to custom create your training program. So that tells you a bit about what it's like as we hold your hand, make it easy, make it friendly, have a good time with everybody there, play a lot of games, because I find that you will always, always play with far more intensity than you will work. So anytime we can turn fitness training into a game, I'm in favor. I like thinking of every part of my training as a game. Even if it's a game that I'm only playing in my own mind with myself as the only participant, it's still a game. And then I'll play with more enthusiasm and put a lot more into it, a lot more intensity. So what else can we offer? We're going to have some other webinars still this month. On June 14th, this Saturday, pretty early in the morning, if you're on the West Coast, 1 o'clock on the East Coast, the 80-10-10 Food and Lifestyle Retreat. This is a brand new retreat, never been offered before. It's not just for beginners, but I recommend anybody who's relatively new to 80-10-10 attend the Food and Lifestyle Retreat webinar. See if this event is for you. It's an event that I'm very excited about. It's a retreat that will immerse you in the 80-10-10 lifestyle, and to get you started, I'm going to talk about where 80-10-10 concepts came from and why 80-10-10 works so well. I hope I'll see you at that webinar. If you want to reserve your spot, go to foodandsport.com/retreats, and we'll happily take your deposit. We have other webinars next week for Banana Island. I'm going to talk about what's the secret. How do you handle your emotions in a way that is self-constructive? Have you ever found yourself with self-destructive emotions, or the way you handled them was self-destructive and you found yourself like wanting to go hide in a closet or start calling yourself names? There's a way to positively handle all emotions, and we want to teach that to you. And we'll do that at the webinar about Banana Island, which is our are really, I call it our emotional retreat. It's not only about emotions, but we're going to make food so important that we're going to get it to a point where it becomes unimportant. And for anyone who doesn't have a great relationship with food, they want to come to the webinar for Banana Island, learn the secret for handling all emotions, and strongly consider attending Banana Island. It's quickly becoming our most popular retreat. We only have limited spots at all of these retreats. We only have limited spots. We take 16 as full. We can squeeze another 1 or 2 if we have to, but we consider 16 full. This is a limited number of people. So if you're thinking about Banana Island, you really don't want to wait. You want to reserve your spot as soon as possible. On Thursday, the 19th of June, 1 o'clock on Pacific time, we'll do Culinary Skills Week. I started Culinary Skills Week almost a decade ago. It started out as just a few days, and then it became a week-long program. It started out like, why would anybody want to do that? And it's also becoming every year full event. Thinking of adding another week. It's really popular. If this is something that even tweaks your interest at all, I'm going to show you not only what are my 5 favorite kitchen tools, but how I use them, including the way I use them that is definitely not recommended by the manufacturers. In fact, they probably never thought of that. Although I haven't tried oil painting with my Vitamix yet, I understand that you throw some oil paint in a Vitamix with the top off, it'll throw some paint up into the air. Let me tell you, you could paint your whole kitchen in a second. Health and Fitness Week, my premier event of the year. We'll do the webinar next Saturday, and I'm going to talk about how much training is too much training. When does overtraining kick in? When does overwork kick in? When does training become counterproductive? How do you monitor this? How do you become objective about this? How much training is really going to work to your best advantage? A lot of people just think more is better and more is better than that, and the most is the best, and that's not really it. I'm going to show you what's the ratio of frequency, intensity, and time in order to get the most out of your training without falling into that trap of doing too much training. Health and Fitness Week. Customized. All of these programs, because it's a family event, it's a small event, we have usually at least half as much to as much staff as we do attendees. We're going to hold your hand. We're going to make it friendly. It's going to be a good time, easy, and custom to meet your needs. Nobody is too fit to attend the Science of Health and Fitness or Health and Fitness Week, and nobody is too unfit. We'll take you at the level you are and show you how to move forward from there. If you don't know anything about fitness, we'll show you how. If you're already a bit fit, we'll show you how to get fitter. If you're a super fit guy, we will show you how to turn into a super fit athlete guy. Culinary Skills Professional, a 2-week program. The webinar is going to be announced shortly, but I'm going to teach people how to become an executive chef at a festival, or how to run food programs for large numbers of people, how to make food if you're going to be having 100 people over for Christmas dinner. Culinary Skills Professional, if you want to make a living or just make some money making fantastic, simply delicious 80-10-10 low-fat raw vegan food, we're going to show you how to do that. The program is only open to 6 people. 6 is the top. We cannot stretch it beyond that. Most likely we'll have 4, but I'll leave those 2 extra spots open. We already have several people registered for Culinary Skills Professional. If this is something that even slightly interests you, not only be at the webinar, but reserve your spot with a deposit. You can get money back if you need to, but get your deposit down. I don't keep a secret about pricing either. I want you to know, Science of Health and Fitness, starting September 28th to October 5th. That is not correct. I take that back. Science of Health and Fitness comes at the beginning of September. And I'll get you the exact dates before we do Q&A. The price is $28.97, and you can reserve your spot now and get in. We're even offering a special deal for people who take packages or who order within 24 hours of hearing this webinar. If you reserve your spot with a deposit at foodandsport.com/retreats, for the small group of people who are going to be at the Science of Health and Fitness Week, we have special packages. One I call my Professional Performance Special. It's just 2 programs, Science of Health and Fitness followed by Health and Fitness. This program is just, well, I've had a lot of people do both back to back, and they find that by the time they're ready to go home, they are so primed to make quantum leap in fitness that they can already see it happening just in that 2-week period of time. I highly recommend it. We offer a la carte mix and match kind of retreats. If there's certain programs that are more interesting to you than others, you can certainly save 10% if you come to 2 retreats, 15 on 3, 20% on 4 or more retreats, or even just get 10% for bringing a friend or a spouse or another person along with you. Again, just go to foodandsport.com/retreats to find out more. If I didn't cover something about this particular webinar that you wanted to know, please feel free. Call Food and Sport. You can call them at 1-888-339-4344. We don't hide our phone number. We answer our telephone, and we're happy to talk to you. Or you can just email us at events@foodandsport.com. If you stay until the end, you're still online with me now. You're obviously very serious about creating health, fitness, and vitality as quickly as possible. That's our goal. Streamlined, efficient, effective, no extraneous parts. Get the job done, have more fun. If you pay your deposit to 1 or more retreats within the next 24 hours, take an extra $500 off your entire order. That's the best deal we offer. It's a bigger percent than any of the other specials. Or if it's for the food and lifestyle retreat, $200 off. It's still the best deal we offer. That's our fast action discount. We want you to know that you can't combine this with other coupons. It's already the best deal. It's for one person, take $500 off. It doesn't combine. You can't add it on to other discounts. If you take 2 retreats, we'll give you 10% and $500 off. It's just a great deal. And obviously 2 people, 1 retreat, the same, take 10%. We want you to come. We don't want there to be a reason you don't. If we need to set up a payment plan, we'll help you do it. Everything I've just told you about our events, you've just received in an email. So please check your email, find out what's going on. Feel free to ask anything you need from our food and sports staff and management. I want to help you make this as great for you as it possibly can be. The trick really is come. If you come to a food and sport 80-10-10 retreat, your life will change. Your relationship with food will change, but your relationship with yourself will change. You become a better person, and you'll have a lot more fun and a better understanding of how to create health and performance in your own life. I promise you won't regret it. Find a way. I can tell you in 24 years of running retreats that not one single person who said to me, I can't make it this year, I'll come next year, not one ever came. Make it this year. Get it on your calendar. Find a way to make it happen. Make it happen now. I want to take your questions. Kevin was going to get back to us with the correct dates, and then we'll start taking questions. Kevin, are you online?
Yes, I am, Dr. Graham. And I did post the correct dates in the chat box, and they are from September 14th through the 21st.
Thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome. And the first question actually came into us before the webinar, sent in by a friend of ours, a runner, and he's wondering if he can run for life. And what he means by that is he's heard that running is prone to injury. As a runner, you're prone to injuries, and that he's even heard that perhaps the human body isn't designed to run. So can he be a runner for life? And will the Science of Health and Fitness Week give him the knowledge to avoid injuries in that pursuit?
Yes, you can certainly run for life, barring injuries. And you can certainly run for life if you take good care of yourself. Running is a repetitive action, and it's easy to get repetitive use injuries. I went to a marathon a couple of weeks ago to watch one of the athletes that I'm coaching run in the marathon. He did well. He took second. It was fun to watch. And afterwards, yes, he had a meal. And then I took him to a gym to go do strength training. We had a blast. And he set a PB in his strength training after having just taken second in a marathon. That's some pretty good recovery. We teach a section at the Science of Health and Fitness on biomechanics and how to run properly, how to walk, sit, stand, and run properly. This enhances not only your running enjoyment and speed, but reduces the risk of injury, much better chance of longevity in your performance. Yes, you can run for life.
But wasn't I backing up before you got to me? I was pretty close. I would have waited.
That's good news.
Ooh, there's a lot going on back there. Yes, you can run for life, of course, but each individual is going to be slightly different in terms of how their body goes through its changes. I don't know what your specific history is. You know, some people will find that because of things they did when they were younger, that they break down a little faster than they wanted to. Will you always have the same speed? No, you might not always run as fast as you did when you were 30. When you're 90, I remember reading about a marathon runner who ran her personal best at 80, and then at 88, when she ran a marathon, she was a full 30 minutes slower than she had been at 80, and the interviewer asked her, what happened? How come you're so much slower? She said, you know, between 80 and 88, people lose a lot of speed. Well, it sounds funny, but it's actually true. As we get older, we do lose some speed. Neurologically, that just happens. And it's one of the things that's not just because we ate poorly. We just do lose some speed. I mean, at some point we are going to slow down. But there's plenty of runners who have run an entire lifetime and are still running at 100. And yes, you can run for life. As far as injuries, it turns out that in almost every sport, it's not the people doing the sport that tend to get injured. It's the people who are attempting to do the sport, or who do it poorly, or do it with poor mechanics. And so in strength training, the likelihood of getting hurt strength training is really slim unless you do it poorly, in which case you're likely going to get hurt. And runners don't get hurt. People who run poorly get hurt. Trampoline injuries tend to be really bad. But when I've tracked trampoline injuries nationally, what we find is that none of the people who compete in competitive trampoline almost ever get hurt. I ran a trampoline program for 5 years, and we did 5 years without an injury. But kids who get on the trampoline 3 and 4 at a time, or who are playing on trampoline, or people who use trampoline as a training tool, but it's not their sport. Maybe they're springboard divers or gymnasts or something else, but they get on the trampoline where they don't have the skills specific to trampoline, but they do have the movement skills. So you're a snow skier trying to learn how to do acrobatics, so you go on a trampoline. Well, a trampoline isn't the mountain, and it's just enough different that those people get hurt. But the people who actually run well can run for life. Long answer to a short question.
It was a thorough answer. Much appreciated. The next question comes from Vicky, and she's curious to know if she attends the retreat. She's currently not a personal trainer and has no clients. Will she be certified, or will she be capable of taking on clients after this retreat?
That's a good question, because I think the answer very much depends on each individual's knowledge range before they attend the retreat. I mean, there's some people where I would say, definitely yes, they could coach afterwards and charge for it. And there will be others where you would say, gosh, no, you're not ready to take on clients. This is not a certification course specifically. We're not certifying you at this point. If you want to become certified to work with clients, we do offer a program for that specific purpose as part of the lifestyle coaching program, our CLC program, and there we can certify you to train clients in fitness, but not just by attending the Science of Health and Fitness. I respect it. I respect what we're talking about far too much to think that touching on these topics would make you a pro in any of these topics. A week is just not enough training.
Thank you. The next question is pertinent to the lesson that was taught at the beginning of the webinar and also to the retreat. And it comes from Thomas, and he's curious to know if you will be teaching warm-ups and cool-downs, if you have set routines that you will share with us for the retreat.
We will teach, well, the answer is yes. We will teach many different warm-up and warm-down approaches, not only because some of the workouts are early and some of them are late, but because we'll be doing different activities, and some activities require a general warm-up, and some call for a specific warm-up, and some call for a lot more of one or the other. And so we will show you a different warm-up for each fitness class, and then show you different approaches to cooling down for each fitness class taught. Yes.
Great. And this is the last question. Unless anyone else on the call has a further question, please type them into the chat box. This last one comes from Jill, and she's wondering if she's not a professional athlete. She just really enjoys her sport, which she wrote as cycling. Will this be tailored to her as well?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We have a lot of intense athletes who come. They're maybe amateur athletes, but they really enjoy their fitness activities, and they want to know how to become more efficient, how to become more effective, how to take their fitness training to the next level. And uh, certainly for a cyclist, there's a lot of discussion about cycling because it's one of the major sports in the world that you can do for a lifetime. You know, football, at least American football, probably not considered a lifetime sport. Although it's conceivable, most people pretty much stop playing football before they've hit 40. Whereas cyclists, heck, there was a Frenchman just recently set a record in cycling. He's over 100 years old and set a record in cycling. You can cycle and plan to cycle until you just can't balance on a bicycle anymore. You should be able to keep on riding a barn bike. And if you take good care of your neurology and keep training your balance, you should be able to cycle a bicycle for a lifetime.
Thank you, Dr. Graham. And that about wraps it up for the questions.
Anybody else? I sure appreciate you coming online with me tonight to the webinar. I'm looking forward to doing the next one and hope I'll hear from some of you there. That's sort of funny sounding. I do hope you'll come to some other of the webinars. I look forward to meeting you at the Science of Health and Fitness Week and sharing those good times with you. Look at our specials online. Reserve your spot with a deposit because these are really small events. They're custom. We want them to be just for you. We want you to feel like you're an important family member, as close as it's going to get. And we will, as we say, we're just taking 16 people to the Science of Health and Fitness so that you can bring your health and fitness to the ultimate highest level. Reserve your spot with a deposit at foodandsport.com/retreats. Thank you very, very much. This is Dr. Doug Graham, and I look forward to getting to share a meal with you.
Hello, Dr. Graham.
Hello, Kevin.
You may end it now if you'd like.
Yeah?
You may.
How cool is that?